Thanks for tuning into the first night of our coverage of the Festival of Books. In just a minute, we'll be live at USC's Bovard Auditorium for the 46th Annual Los Angeles Times Book Prizes. The prizes honor books released in 2025 and features 61 finalists across 13 categories. Tonight, Amy Tan will receive the Robert Kirsch Award for Lifetime Achievement. Finalists include Michael Connelly, Sarah Jessica Parker, and S.A. Cosby. Awards include the Art Seidenbaum Award for First Fiction, Achievement in Audiobook Production, presented by Audible and Graphic Novel Comics. Some notable finalists include the likes of Stephen Graham Jones for Science Fiction, Kay Ancrum for Young Adult Literature, and Richard Seiken for Poetry. So let's head to the award show, starting now.
Angeles Times Book Prizes. Since 1980, the Los Angeles Times Book Prizes have honored excellence in the written word and celebrated the vibrant literary community in Los Angeles. The inspiration of former Times book editor Art Seidenbaum, the very first prizes included book awards in 4 categories: fiction, history, general nonfiction, and poetry, as well as the inaugural Robert Kirsch Award, which was presented to Wallace Stegner for his extraordinary career and dedication to literature of the West. Now, 46 years later, the book prizes encompass 13 subject categories, including the Christopher Isherwood Prize for Autobiographical Prose, the Prize for Achievement in Audiobook Production, presented by Audible, as well as the Robert Kirsch Award for Lifetime Achievement and the Innovators Award. The prizes have evolved as the literary world has evolved, but the essential mission remains the same: a commitment to literary excellence, to the power of the written word, to the endurance and resilience of the human imagination. For more than 4 decades, the recipients of these prizes have included a who's who of contemporary literature, including Nobel laureate Gabriel Garcia Marquez, former U.S. Poet Laureate Juan Felipe Herrera, author and activist Amanda Gorman, National Book Award winner Joan Didion, Man Booker Prize winner Margaret Atwood, Newbery Award winner Beverly Cleary, Reading Rainbow host and producer LeVar Burton, and Chicano author and activist Luis J. Rodriguez. This year, we celebrate Amy Tan, whose expansive body of work, including essays, memoirs, and best-selling novels The Joy Luck Club, The Kitchen God's Wife, and The Bone Setter's Daughter, is widely celebrated for its profound exploration of the immigrant experience, family bonds, and the quest for individual identity. We also recognize We Need Diverse Books, a nonprofit organization dedicated to increasing diversity and inclusion in publishing. What began in 2014 as a trending hashtag on social media has expanded into organized mentorships, workshops, grants, and most importantly, systemic change across the publishing ecosystem. The Los Angeles Times Book Prizes are judged by working writers, so in a very real sense, they express the admiration of a community of peers, but even more, they tell us that reading is necessary, reading is political, and reading is human, an essential way of connecting with and understanding the world in which we live. Every year, the book prizes remind us of the power of books to move and enlighten us, to connect us to the best of what we as human beings have to offer, to illuminate us through the written word. Now, please welcome the executive editor of the Los Angeles Times, Terry Tang.
I'm just delighted to see all of you here tonight. This is such a special evening for the Los Angeles Times and for the community we serve. So I'm Terry Tang. I am the executive editor of the LA Times. And it's a pleasure to kick off the 31st annual Los Angeles Times Festival of Books, the largest book festival in the country with this ceremony. Tonight, we're here to celebrate more than 60 finalists for the book prizes in 13 categories, with fiction, poetry, biography, nonfiction, mystery, science, graphic novel, and more. This marks the 3rd year of our presentation of the Award for Achievement in Audiobook Production, presented by Audible, and every one of these nominated books deserves our applause and our gratitude because they show human creativity, passion, and dedication at work. And they give us a gift that we can treasure in these times. The finalists and winners here tonight will join more than 550 writers, artists, and creators at the festival this year. So you'll see in your programs there are far too many events and talks and exhibits to attend. But even if you took in just a fraction of these events, you'll expand your mind and by listening to some truly extraordinary people, and you'll be able to connect with them. So this weekend gives us, all of us, a chance to celebrate a sense of unity, purpose, and support. Tonight is so special because we're also presenting three very special prizes. The Christopher Isherwood Prize for Autobiographical Prose, awarded to Adam Ross for a coming-of-age novel inspired by his own childhood in New York City in the 1980s. The Robert Kirsch Award for Lifetime Achievement to Amy Tan for a body of work with a deep connection to the American West. And the Innovators Award to We Need Diverse Books, an organization dedicated to creating diversity and inclusion in publishing. Finally, a word of thanks to USC, our presenting sponsor, for opening its campus to the festival and to welcoming our entire community. It's with great gratitude that I'm here to represent the LA Times and to be here on this campus. So now please welcome this evening's MC, LZ Granderson, a cultural critic and opinion columnist at the LA Times.
Hello there, my fellow booktroverts. I just learned that word this winter. I was like, oh, it's someone who prefers the people in books than the people in life. I love that. Booktroverts. Thank you, Terry. It's so wonderful to be back here, celebrating the geniuses in this room, the courage that's in this room, the brilliance that's in this room. I'm especially happy to be here without my crutches. A year ago, I had knee surgery, and I couldn't hop around as much as I wanted to a year ago. It was okay, except for the fact that all of my books at home were downstairs and my bedroom was upstairs, so I couldn't actually hop down to my books. But don't worry, I did read. I have Audible, I have an iPad, my brain didn't turn to mush. But for me, and I don't know how you feel about this, but the weight of an actual book and smelling of the paper as you turn the page, it's so irreplaceable for me that an iPad can give me convenience, but it can't give me that feeling. And so I'm so grateful that I can walk downstairs and grab an actual book. And I'm so grateful to be here today to celebrate some of the greatest literary works of the year with you tonight. Now, before we go on any further, I'd like to recognize the 36 judges who read across all of our categories in 2025, reading hundreds of books and making difficult decisions to find all of the honorees that we are celebrating here tonight. The judges are listed in your programs, and as you can see, they're up here on the screen. Several of them are in the audience with you, both as presenters and also as onlookers. And if you happen to run into any at the after party, I hope you please thank them for their hard work and effort, because without it, we would not be able to have this celebration. Now, speaking of celebration, shall we get started? Look at these crazy butcherverts. Our first presenter is a senior editor for the entertainment and feature sections at the Los Angeles Times, overseeing book coverage. Here's Sophia Kircher to present the Christopher Isherwood Prize for Autobiographical Prose.
Good evening, fellow book lovers. I'm honored to be in your company as we celebrate my personal Coachella this weekend, the book festival. I have a very special award to present tonight, but before I do, let's all watch this short film about Christopher Isherwood.
Christopher Isherwood was the author of 9 novels, including Goodbye to Berlin, the basis for Cabaret, and A Single Man, adapted for film by Tom Ford. He revitalized the relationship between fiction and fact, writing about himself and the people, places, and circumstances that he observed personally. Isherwood was the 1984 recipient of the Times Robert Kirsch Award. He was arguably the greatest diarist of our time. He was also a prolific letter writer, especially to the love of his life, Don Bachardy, the American painter, whom he met on the beach in Santa Monica in the early 1950s and with whom he spent the last 33 years of his life. The Christopher Isherwood Prize for Autobiographical Prose is given in partnership with the Christopher Isherwood Foundation, which aims to preserve the creative legacy of Isherwood and his partner Don Bachardy. This prize category spans fiction, travel writing, memoir, and diaries to honor Isherwood's work across those genres.
The prize, awarded in recognition of autobiographical writing in any genre, is endowed by the Isherwood Foundation. Christopher Isherwood famously wrote, "One should never write down or up to people, but out of yourself." With that spirit, this prize considers how well a writer is able to translate the self through excellent prose, the kind that startles the reader into new understanding. In this particular case, our judges were captivated by Adam Ross's extraordinary novel, Playworld. It features masterful world-building, irresistible characters, and a truly unforgettable kissing scene. If you know, you know. Please help me welcome the winner of the 2025 Christopher Isherwood Prize, Adam Ross.
I'm thrilled to be accepting the Christopher Isherwood Prize in the 31st year of the LA Times Book Festival's existence. What is always so impressive about an event of this scale is that we come together in the hope that we will be changed uniquely and for the better by this gathering to celebrate something as powerful, abiding, and unifying as the love of the written word. For that, we have these remarkable organizers behind the scenes to thank. The logistics they execute to make this gathering happen boggles the mind. So let's please give them a richly deserved round of applause. I would, of course, like to thank the foundation, and I would like to especially thank the foundation's judges, Dinah Lenny, Disha Filia, and Rick Whitaker, for their time and efforts. In my day job as editor of the Sewanee Review, we receive some 8,000 submissions a year. I well know the conscientious labor this requires. That my novel distinguished itself among so many worthy books is very hard for me to believe, but I am grateful. I'm also grateful for my editors, Todd Portnowitz at Knopf and Eric Smith at the Sewanee Review, my agent, Susanna Lee, who patiently waited 10 years for me to finish this novel, Jordan Pavlin, Jordan Rodman, and Gabrielle Brooks at Knopf, who worked so tirelessly to make Playworld a reality, and finally Reagan Arthur, who during her tenure at Knopf was instrumental in shepherding the novel into the world. When it became clear to me that I was writing something that was going to be a lot bigger and take a lot longer than I'd planned, I promised myself I would use all of my ability to capture my experience of a particular era in an enduringly magical city, and to hopefully express it in such a way that any reader willing to embark on the journey with me would, upon finishing, close the book and say, yes, I know exactly what that was like. Winning this award makes me feel like I succeeded in that endeavor. Thank you.
Now I'm pleased to welcome back to the stage the 2025 winner of the next award, which she receives for her book, Room Swept Home. She is a Cave Canem Fellow and faculty member, an Appalachian poet, and a member of the Wintergreen Women Writers Collective. Please welcome Remeka Bingham Risher, the finalist in poetry.
Good evening, book lovers. I'm so happy to be presenting the Los Angeles Times Book Prize for Poetry. We turn to poems in times of elation and in times of fear, celebration and grief, and often we turn to poems when no other art is succinct enough to get right to the heart of the matter, to buoy and brace us, to restore what has been lost. Poetry makes the dead the living and makes the living worthwhile. We have brave poets here tonight. The 5 poetry collections we're celebrating share their failings and their hard-won joy. Sometimes faith leads the tides, sometimes history. In poem after poem, the reader is asked to see beyond the known world, under the brushstrokes of a fastidious painting, beneath the Mesozoic era to the animals becoming, and back to the here and now, uncertain but willfully, fiercely enduring what might still be coming for you. The finalists for the 2025 Los Angeles Times Book Prize for Poetry are The New Economy by Gabrielle Galvacaresi. This book preserves dear hearts alive. Though friends are taken from the land of the living, they are resurrected here. There's a cistern for every longing, each filled with sharpened memory and light. In the poet's hands, every question, even those about the imperfect body, even in the midst of anxiousness and fear, harkens back to the sun-filled God of love. Blue Opening by Shayla Seabury. Here, root logic is tended in the idea of what's to come. Motherhood, the hope and dream of it, the womb wreckage and difficulty form remnants of the poet's steady longing. As with anything born and unborn, there are myriad questions the poet stitches into a codex, a prayer card, a vital record. Can the created spawn its own genesis? Is love a fissure, an undiscovered universe, or miraculous vessel? I Do Know Some Things by Richard Sykin. It reminds us that the prose poem is a way of holding, imprisoning the reader. There is no escaping the poet's suffering or healing, the illnesses, damage, or hard-won questions about what can be truly known. The direct address, the clear insistence on the I being seen, is the poet's recovery and refusal. No poem, no line here will hide from brokenness or from hope. Lazarus Species by Devin Walker Figueroa is a constant searching for what can be returned to us. Some of the living have gone missing, but they are rediscovered, giving back in the poet's longing. Is the voice an echo or the seedling of an aria glinting into the past? The poet in these poems is witness and survivor, reluctant and insistent. Every animal called home is sung into new invention, their music a patchwork of modernistic history. A Magnificent Loneliness by Alison Bennis White. Monet's impressionistic paintings, many with his wife Camille as the subject and the natural world as a lush, bucolic backdrop, are an entry point into re-envisioning the details of the world and of the artist's life. In this meticulous collection, green is a euphemism for elegy. Works of art speak and beckon to us, the dresses and landscapes expansive and alive. And the 2025 Los Angeles Times Book Prize for Poetry goes to Allison Bennis White, A Magnificent Loneliness.
First of all, I am absolutely looking into beta blockers after this. Thank you so much to the judges. Thank you to the LA Times. Thank you to my devoted press, Four-Way Books, and Ryan Murphy and Martha Rhodes, my editors. They've made my writing life possible. And congratulations to everyone who's being honored here tonight. And in particular, I want to recognize the fellow finalists in my category. I am so grateful to be in the company of your remarkable work. This book started for me with a population of wild parrots that migrate through our neighborhood every year for 2 or 3 weeks. And early in the pandemic, my husband and I were on a walk, and he noticed a black and green parrot feather on the sidewalk, and he picked it up and he put it in the little hole on the top of his baseball hat, like a flower into a vase. And we both laughed because we understood it was an homage to my eccentric father, who would always have a pigeon feather or a crow feather in the top of his mesh baseball hat, and he would say, "A feather in my cap," to anybody who would notice. And when we got home, I took the feather into my office because it reminded me of Monet's painting, The Woman in a Green Dress. That monograph was open on my desk, and that led to me writing about that Monet painting, which led to writing about other Monet paintings, which turned into elegies for 3 beloved women who died within that year. And those elegies, as elegies often do, became love letters sent into the abyss. There's that saying, "Don't die with your music still inside you," and this is some of my music. And of all the people I look forward to sharing this news with, I wish I could tell my father, who's been gone 14 years now, who never ever minimized my artistic ambitions, even if he did not understand them. But I was thinking, I know what he would say. He would say, "Wonderful, wonderful, Allie, a feather in your cap." Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful feather in your cap indeed. And I would love to have Ramika read more poetry. Our next presenter is a Pulitzer finalist, National Magazine Award, and James Beard Award winner for her comics, as well as co-founder of Comic Arts LA, an annual independent arts and comic festival. Please join me in welcoming Angie Wang to present the finalists in graphic novel and comics.
Comics are often understood as a synergistic relationship between words and images, but that doesn't fully capture what they do. What I return to again and again is rhythm. Each panel carries an emotional note underscored by drawing, color composition. Meaning isn't necessarily located in any individual panel, but in the temporal relations between them, the pauses and accelerations that frame both the beautiful and the mundane. In that sense, it can be closer to music than to either writing or drawing. There's a kind of openness to this form. An image can suggest a thought, can compress meaning, it holds possibility, a quality of feeling. And when those images are placed in sequence, they create a larger shape, a rise and fall, a pattern of attention and release. The books we're honoring tonight understand this deeply. They trust the reader to move with them, to feel the shape of the whole story through the accretion of these moments in time. The finalists for the 2026 Los Angeles Times Book Prize in Graphic Novels are Black Cohosh by Eagle Valiant Brosey is a quiet autobiographical coming-of-age story following a young boy navigating life on a commune who keenly observes the hypocrisy and cruelty and tenderness of those around him. Life Drawing, a Love and Rockets collection by Jaime Hernandez, continues a decades-spanning body of work where characters age and accumulate history, creating a world that feels as layered and familiar as real life, now encountered by the fresh eyes of a younger generation. Milk White Steed by Michael D. Kennedy gathers myth-inflected stories rooted in Caribbean folklore and diasporic experience, where meaning emerges through surreal imagery and unexpected connections. Canon by Lee Lai offers a sharply observed portrait of a restaurant worker's life changing under strain to the point of breakdown, and her complicated relationship with her closest friend. And finally, The Ephemerata Shaping the Exquisite Nature of Grief by Carol Tyler is a long-spanning meditation on loss, using a wide range of visual approaches to trace the shape of mourning as it changes over time. These works remind us that comics are a way of telling stories through the accumulation of moments that, taken together, create something powerful. The winner for the Los Angeles Times Book Prize in Graphic Novels is Jaime Hernandez for Life Drawing, a Love and Rockets collection.
Thank you. Thank Los Angeles Times. Thanks my publisher, Fantagraphics. Thank my brother, Gilbert Hernandez. Thank my wonderful wife, Katie Skelly. This is cool. I've been doing comics for 44 years, and it's just pretty cool. Anyway, I really appreciate this, and I thank you very much.
This is really cool. Our next presenter is a National Book Award winner, best-selling author, strategic advisor, and former staffer of the late, great Representative John Lewis. In 2024, he founded the Appalachia Comics Project to help Appalachian people tell their stories through comics. Please welcome Andrew Iden with the finalist in History.
Good evening. It's an honor and a privilege to be presenting the Los Angeles Times Book Prize for History. At its best, history refuses to let us look away. It reaches into the past and pulls out stories we thought we knew, and then shows us how wrong we were. It upends comfortable myths, recovers forgotten voices, and insists that the forces shaping our present were set in motion long before any of us. The authors in this category have done exactly that. They have taken on subjects that might seem settled: agriculture, arson, activism, identity, commerce, and made them feel urgent, alive, and essential. They remind us that history is not something that happened to other people. It is happening to us right now. The finalists for the 2025 Los Angeles Times Books Prize in History are Black-Owned, The Revolutionary Life of the Black Bookstore by Shar Adams from Tiny Reparation Books. In 1834, an abolitionist named David Ruggles opened the first Black-owned bookstore in New York City. Shar Adams picks up that thread and follows it all the way to the present day, through the Civil Rights Movement, the Black Power era, the age of gentrification, and beyond. Black-owned is the first dedicated history of the Black bookstore, and it is as much a story of espionage and resistance as it is of community and joy. Adams shows us that these stores were never just places to buy books. They were headquarters for liberation. Born in Flames, The Business of Arson and the Remaking of the American City by Bench Ansfield from W.W. Norton. Throughout the 1970s, arson devastated American cities, and the conventional story blamed black and brown tenants. Drawing on meticulous archival research, Born in Flames reveals that the real arsonists were landlords, insurance companies, and the federal government itself, all operating within a system Bench Ansfield calls fire capitalism. Focusing on the Bronx, known then as the arson capital of the world, Ansfield traces how buildings became worth more dead than alive, and how ordinary tenants organized to fight back. Titans of industrial agriculture, how a few giant corporations came to dominate the farm sector and why it matters. From Jennifer Clapp and the MIT Press. How did a handful of corporations come to control what the world eats? Jennifer Clapp answers that question with rigor and clarity in Titans of Industrial Agriculture, a sweeping history of consolidation in the farm sector. Clapp traces the rise of the agribusiness giants in seeds, chemicals, machinery, and trading, and shows how their dominance reshaped rural communities, constrained farmers' choices, and concentrated power in ways that have profound consequences for food security and democracy alike. Before Gender, Lost Stories from Trans History, 1850 to 1950, by Eli Ehrlich from Beacon Press. The lie that transgender people are a modern phenomenon has caused immeasurable harm. Eli Ehrlich's Before Gender is a direct and powerful refutation of that lie. Through 30 vivid biographical portraits drawn from extensive archival research, Ehrlich uncovers trans lives stretching back to the 1850s, lives filled not only with struggle, but with community, creativity, and surprising resilience. She finds the first known government-approved gender change in the 1860s, the earliest court-ordered sex change in 1902, and the first use of hormone treatment for a trans minor in 1939. This is history as corrective, as compass, and as an act of profound care. And high school units unite. Teen activism, education reform, and FBI surveillance in post-war America by Aaron G. Fountain, Jr. from the University of North Carolina Press. Student activism in 20th century America is usually remembered as a college story. Aaron Gregory Fountain, Jr. is here to correct that. High School Students Unite centers the teenagers who organized walkouts, sit-ins, and strikes in the 1960s and 1970s, demanding control over their own education and curricula that reflected their lives. Drawing on oral histories and previously unknown FBI records, Fountain reveals how these young activists transformed schools into sites of democratic struggle, and how the government responded with surveillance and new forms of school security whose echoes we still live with today. And the 2025 Los Angeles Times Book Prize in History goes to Born in Flames, The Business of Arson and the Remaking of the American City by Bench Ansfield. Bench was unable to join us tonight. They recorded a video message to be read in the event that they were the winner.
If you're watching this video, well, I'm in disbelief that you're watching this video. I'm honored and so grateful to the judges for selecting Born in Flames for the LA Times Book Prize for History, and I'm really sorry that I can't be there to accept the award. Right now, I'm actually at the annual conference of the Organization of American Historians, and let me tell you, it's a scary time to be a historian in the United States. Our field, like so many other fields, is under attack. And it's under attack because history is powerful. That's made very clear by the urgent books written by my fellow finalists. My book is dedicated to housing justice organizers across the country who are facing brutal headwinds as our housing crisis continues to deepen. To understand the crises in front of us, we have to understand our history. This book tells the story of tenants in the 1970s Bronx and in other cities who endured a decade of arson fires that were set by landlords and fueled by insurance company practices. Tens of thousands of housing units burned in the space of about a decade, and that's a low estimate. For years, nobody seemed to care. And in fact, those tenants, mostly Black and brown renters, were themselves blamed for the fires. In the face of that, what did they do? They organized and they forged an anti-arson movement, which, against seemingly insurmountable odds, was able to stem the tide of the fires by the early 1980s. My deepest hope for Born in Flames is that it can support tenants today who are fighting for safe and permanently affordable housing. It was tenants who saved their neighborhoods in the 1970s, and only tenants can do the same today. Thank you so much.
Absolutely powerful work. Our next presenter is a nationally recognized educator, veteran language arts teacher, librarian, and teen programs administrator. She has been awarded the 2020 NCTE Colorado Affiliate Teacher of Excellence Award and was chosen as a 2020 Library Journal Mover and Shaker. Please welcome Julia Torres to the prize stage to present the Young Adults Literature finalists.
Good evening. It is my honor and privilege tonight to present the Los Angeles Times Book Prize for Young Adult Literature. Young adult literature holds a unique and enduring power. It can transport us to imagined worlds, illuminate the complexities of our own, and offer an unfiltered lens into what it means to be young and coming of age today. Importantly, and perhaps surprisingly, it is a genre that doesn't belong only to young people. In fact, recent statistics show that the majority of YA readers are adults, reminding us that the desire for connection, for clarity, and for emotional truth doesn't fade with age. We return to these stories because they meet us where we are. They remind us who we've been and invite us to stay open to who we are still becoming, both as individuals and as humans from all walks of life. At a time when the world can feel increasingly divided, young adult literature offers something essential, a space for empathy, for curiosity, and for connection. These stories ask us to listen more closely to young people, yes, but also to one another. We need the brilliance, questions, and vision of young people now more than ever. Their stories help us stay grounded in both the urgency of the present and the possibility of the future. We are living in a golden age for young people's literature, one in which a wider range of identities, experiences, and truths are being brought to the page than ever before in history. The finalists we honor tonight reflect that richness. Their work shines a light on the realities of bullying and burnout, neurodiversity, reproductive rights, intergenerational memory and trauma, and the ways young people stay true to themselves in a rapidly changing world. These are powerful, necessary stories, and it is a privilege to celebrate them tonight. The finalists for the 2025 Los Angeles Times Book Prize in Young Adult Literature are The Corruption of Hollis Brown by Kayla Ankrum is a riveting and evocative tale in which a teen makes a dangerous bargain, entangling him in love, power, and the supernatural, all of which lead him to ponder the cost of survival. King of the Neuroverse by Idris Goodwin explores what it means to be a neurodivergent teen, claiming your own voice while navigating friendship, family, and identity. In My Mother, the Mermaid Chaser by Jamie Jo Huang, a daughter traces her mother's past, uncovering identity, memory, and the pull of family. Angelica and the Bear Prince by Trung Le Nguyen is a whimsical, non-linear romance in which a young woman finds escape from burnout, joining forces with an enchanted bear prince in a journey that reimagines fate and love. Truth Is, a novel in verse by Hannah V. Sawyer, takes readers on a lyrical journey as a young girl searches for truth while traversing grief, interpersonal relationships, and belonging. And the 2025 Los Angeles Times Book Prize in Young Adult Literature goes to Trung Le Nguyen, Angelica and the Bear Prince.
Hi, wow. I had a short conversation with Hannah when we stepped in about how we probably needed to be prepared, and I was like, this surely couldn't happen, and then I did not prepare. So here I am, speaking extemporaneously for the next 2 minutes, and I will try to be respectful of everyone's time. I want to thank my partner, Jay, and my agent, Kate, and my editor, Whitney, everyone at the Random House Graphic and Random House Children's Books teams, which have been such a great source of support for me over the course of the creation of this book. I spend a lot of time in academic spaces kind of doing comic book apologia. I'm someone who really believes in the power of the image and in iconography and in history and in being curious about where images come from. We talk about comics a lot in terms of the relationship between words and pictures, and I find that comics can be more than that because it's such a unique medium in which both the words and the pictures comprise the text. And I was starting to myself get a little burned out because I spend a lot of time talking about these things, and I start to feel like, well, I'm just a cartoonist. What can I do in such a weird, complicated time? And I am a proud resident of South Minneapolis. These past few months have been particularly difficult for us, and I realized that in doing the work that I do, it's more important than ever for us to encourage young people to recognize that the things that they see and hear in front of them are the text, and that they are literate, and that they can see and read those things correctly, that they can believe their eyes and ears. So thank you so much. I've never felt so grateful for myself and my work to be seen in such a way. Thank you.
Our next presenter is a longtime Los Angeles Times columnist and writer with a share of 2 Pulitzer Prizes, as well as a public television and radio host with 6 Emmys, a dozen Golden Mike Awards, and a myriad of other awards. Please welcome our treasure, Pat Morrison, to the prize stage to present the Biography finalist.
Thank you all. I think my subconscious must have dressed me this evening in gold, because like you, I believe that writers of the caliber of the people we have nominated tonight deserve the same regard and renown as the people who get those little gold statues up the road a piece. Speaking of up the road a piece, there was a writer who lived not far from here. Her name was Anais Nin. And she observed that we write to taste life twice. And we read biographies especially, to taste the lives of others, to hold them up to the light of their times and in the prism of our own, to make them knowable for who they were when they were. And biographers themselves have to be part chimeras, part scholar, part psychic. Sometimes biographer and biography seem to merge, like Boswell and Johnson. And sometimes the biography is so elusive that the biographer flees into fiction, like Ronald Reagan and Edmund Morris. I don't remember that. Happily, our biography finalists take us authentically into hearts and minds and times and places. They are Children of Radium by Joe Dunthorne. There's no question this is nonfiction because no novelist would stick himself with so many questing dead ends and unresolved mysteries, nor would he use humor as the author does in a paradoxical family memoir about his Jewish great-grandfather whose scientific research became a Nazi war tool. The Strangers, 5 Extraordinary Black Men and the Worlds That Made Them by Echo Eschen. Here, magnified in quantum-packaged elegance, are 5 celebrated Black men of 3 continents and centuries: actor, Arctic explorer, psychiatrist philosopher, Black revolutionary, and soccer star in the best and worst episodes of their lives, and all boldly delivered in second person, giving them the immediacy and the intimacy of a podcast. The Many Lives of Anne Frank by Ruth Franklin. This biography resets the old familiar stories clock back to 0 to clear the path for the teenager who's become a human taffy pull, Bowdlerized, characterized, lionized beyond the realities of her short life and her brief work, and restoring her to human scale and placing her in her own hopeful, tragic, and poignant world. Paper Girl, a memoir of home and family in a fractured America by Beth Macy. Like any paper girl herself, this book makes the rounds. Memoir, history, and civil science take a core sampling of a small Ohio city where vast conspiracies now supplant local news, and anger, grief, and even hate replace work and neighborliness. It's a place virtually unrecognizable to the author who grew up there. And it had a personal poignancy for me, coming from an Ohio village a tenth the size, but with some of the achingly familiar problems. Pride and Pleasure, the Schuyler Sisters in an Age of Revolution, Amanda Vale. There's something about the synergy of sisters, and these sisters' lives were braided through the American Revolution like a casting agent's dream. Flamboyant Angelica, FOF, FOJ, and FOL, friend of Franklin, friend of Jefferson, friend of Lafayette. And Eliza, Alexander Hamilton's intellectual helpmeet and a new nation's animating social conscience. And there was somewhere in there Peggy, bolder and bigger than also Peggy than Lin-Manuel Miranda allowed her. In brief, this is a trio that could land on the cover of the Federalist Papers, Playbill, and People magazine. What a trifecta. And the Los Angeles Times Book Prize for Biography for 2025 goes to The Strangers, 5 Extraordinary Black Men and the Worlds That Made Them by Echo Eschen. He was unable to join us tonight, but he wrote this message to be read in the event he was the winner. It is a profound honor to receive this award. To be recognized for this book alongside such an accomplished group of writers is a distinction I do not take lightly. The Strangers was born from a desire to interrogate the historical and psychological dimensions of Black masculinity. I wanted to map a cartography of the Black interior and explore how the book's central figures navigated the tension between their private selves and the external gaze of a world that often rendered them strangers. Such an undertaking requires a rigorous and sympathetic editorial partnership, and I am deeply grateful to Adenike Olonrewaju at HarperCollins. Your keen understanding of the book's cultural stakes were vital in shaping its presence in the United States. And to Hermione Thompson at Hamish Hamilton, Thank you for your unwavering commitment in helping me refine the book's structural and emotional architecture from its earliest stages. My thanks also to the LA Times, to the judges, and to the readers who have joined me in exploring the lives of these beautiful strangers. Thank you.
Since 1980, the book prizes have honored an author of the American West whose literary contributions deserve special recognition. The award is named for novelist, editor, and teacher Robert Kirsch, who spent many years as the paper's book critic before his death in 1980. To present the 46th Robert Kirsch Award, we are pleased to welcome his son, Jonathan Kirsch, who is also an author, a book reviewer, and a longtime book reviewer for the Los Angeles Times.
It is my privilege to present an award in the name and memory of my father in recognition of a body of work by a writer living in or writing about the West. Tonight's honoree is Amy Tan, who first achieved literary fame in 1989 with the Joy Luck Club and has gone on to demonstrate her mastery as a novelist, a memoirist, a librettist, a screenwriter, and a writer of essays, short stories, and children's books. Her body of work over 5 decades has established Amy Tan as a crucial figure in the American literary canon. The citation for the National Humanities Award that was bestowed on her in 2021 by the National Endowment for the Humanities salutes her for bravely exploring experiences of immigrant families and their heritage, memories, and poignant struggles, and thereby adding groundbreaking narrative to the diverse sweep of American life and literature. Perhaps because Amy's perspective is global, her deep roots in the American West are less often mentioned. She is a stalwart of the Community of Writers, an organization whose annual gatherings at the Olympic Valley in the High Sierras have long been a literary mecca. It was there that she polished the draft of her celebrated debut novel, and today she serves on its board of directors. A native of Oakland, she is a proud birthright citizen whose parents arrived, please. She is a proud birthright citizen whose parents arrived in California with student visas that expired after China came under communist rule. A former student at San Jose City College, UC Santa Cruz, and UC Berkeley, she has funded fellowships to support Asian students who study at the journalism department at Berkeley. And Amy served as the literary editor of West Magazine, a gone but not forgotten publication of the LA Times, and she saw it as her mission to find and publish new writers in its pages. In one of her 2 memoirs, The Opposite of Fate, Amy allows us to see the motives and aspirations that suffuse her work. In all of my writings, I return to the questions of fate and its alternatives. I see that these permutations of changing fate are really one all-encompassing thing: hope. Hope has always allowed for all things. Let's meet Amy Tan on video before we welcome her in person.
Amy Tan's expansive body of work is widely celebrated for its profound exploration of the immigrant experience and the quest for identity. With honors like the Commonwealth Gold Award, the Carl Sandburg Award, a National Humanities Medal, and an induction into the American Academy of Arts and Letters, alongside nominations for the National Book Award and the International Orange Prize, her career has been defined by excellence. Yet this trajectory began long before the world stage, having won her first prize at age 8 for an essay titled "What the Library Means to Me," Tan has spent a lifetime proving that true mastery lies in the depth of a writer's voice. Born in Oakland, California to immigrant parents, Amy Tan's early career was a masterclass in studying characters, hearing dialogue, recognizing plot, and most importantly for any writer, persisting with grit, patience, and optimism. She directed a project funded by the U.S. Department of Education for multicultural students with developmental disabilities. She was a freelance business writer, literary editor of the LA Times magazine West, and was a member of the Rock Bottom Remainders, a literary band that included Stephen King and that raised more than $1 million for literary programs. Shortly after her first story, Rules of the Game, was published in 1986 in a small literary magazine, her debut novel, The Joy Luck Club, was published and spent over 40 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. It was later turned into a screen adaptation and received WGA and BAFTA nominations. Her work has become a fixture in American culture, from the 2008 opera rendition of her novel, The Bonesetter's Daughter, to appearances on The Simpsons and the documentary series Finding Your Roots. She even reached younger audiences with Sagwa on PBS, a series produced by the creators of Sesame Street. Tan's most recent work, the illustrated book The Backyard Bird Chronicles, became an instant #1 bestseller. Tan's varied, colorful life is perhaps the reason her work has resonated with readers around the globe for decades. Her writing, whether it's a novel or short story, an essay, or a note on birdwatching, shows meticulous care for paying attention to human stories in all of the quiet moments that make up a life. We are honored to present Amy Tan with the 2025 Los Angeles Times Robert Kirsch Award for Lifetime Achievement.
Please welcome Amy Tan.
Thank you so much. I hate seeing myself grow older in the film. First, I need to give endless thanks to my agent, Sandy Dykstra, who's here tonight, who believed in me. From the very first single story that she read, she just signed me up, and that was her faith in me, and it sustained me all these many years. I also want to thank the Los Angeles Times. They are the ones who they ran a story, an excerpt from the Joy Luck Club about a month before publication. They had this wonderful, amazing review by the late, great Carolyn C. Her words moved me to tears, and then later in that year, the LA Times nominated me for a book prize. So I will never forget your early support of me. Until last month, I just want to say that I never had to question what it meant to be an American writer. I, as has been told, am a birthright American, born to two people who lost their student visas and could not return to China. My birthright and that of millions of others is now being argued before the Supreme Court. And no matter what the outcome is, it's been a kick in the gut to know that those in the highest echelons of government and those who support them believe that we don't belong. I've never considered myself a political writer. I have a particular literary DNA, and it's created by family history and trauma and experiences in my own moral inquiry. So I write about stories that have to do with love and hate and betrayal and loss, grief, and hope, always hope. I do what all writers do, and that is that I imagine the lives of the people we write about. And that, I realized, imagination, is the practice of compassion. We become them. We become their circumstances. And thus, through the imagination of others, we are becoming them. We are compassionate. who we have compassion for in our writing, in public discourse, in action, reflects our politics and our beliefs. And so, yes, I am a political writer. I thank all my fellow writers for their politics and compassion, their collective stories that deepen our understanding of humanity. So essential, now more than ever. Thank you.
That's it. Good night, everyone. Have a great night. No, I'm joking. Absolutely fantastic. Octavia's Bookshelf, Pasadena's only bookstore that's owned by a Black woman. Sitting on the edge of the Eden Fire Zone, Octavia's became a refuge for those who were displaced by the 2025 fires. Books on the shelves were quickly replaced by necessities for fire victims. The store continues to serve as a beacon of hope as the community navigates healing, offering solace, connection, and a wealth of magical stories to readers of all backgrounds, interests, and ages. Please give a warm welcome to Octavia's owner, Nikki High, with the finalists in science, fiction, fantasy, and speculative fiction writing.
Good evening, everyone. It's so good to be back with you all tonight. As the owner of a little tiny but mighty bookshop that celebrates Octavia Butler on a daily basis, I'm frequently in conversation with folks from various backgrounds and interests. As you might imagine, these conversations can quickly turn to heart-wrenching discussions about the world and, in particular, this country. And as you can probably guess, I almost always have a fantasy, science fiction, or speculative fiction book to recommend as an offering to soothe, empower, or disrupt our thinking and actions. Now, more than ever, we must look to these stories as a blueprint for what our world can look like and how we get there. We must share stories widely, discuss them intentionally, and commit to taking action in words and deeds every day. I am so grateful for the authors we are honoring tonight, for their courage to ask harder questions, make the impossible seem achievable, ask readers to get uncomfortable, and to somehow package it all into words and gift us with their hopes, fears, and imagination, all in the form of a book. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And here are the finalists. The Buffalo Hunter Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. A diary written in 1912 by a Lutheran pastor is discovered within a wall. What it unveils is a slow massacre, a chain of events that go back to 217 Blackfeet dead in the snow. The Death of Mountains by Jordan Carilla. This is a moving, allegorical tale about the ways mankind continues to hurt the planet, narrated by the land itself. When the death of mountains came for us, we had been aching for a long time. There is so much loss in being a mountain. It is a terribly long time to live. Yet, something awoke within us when they arrived. Death of an Author by Nnedi Okorafor. Zelu, a disabled Nigerian American, finally finds the courage to share her strange sci-fi novel, but she does not realize she is about to embark on a life-altering journey, one that will catapult her to literary stardom, but also perhaps obliterate everything her book was meant to be. Esperance by Adam Oyebajani. Detective Ethan Kroll is investigating the mysterious death of a father and son. Abidemi Eniola claims to be Nigerian, but her accent is wrong, and she can do things with technology her friend Holly has never seen. In a clash of cultures, histories, and different ideas about justice, the consequences will be deadly. Luminous by Sylvia Park. This sweeping debut novel set in a unified Korea tells the story of three estranged siblings, two human, one robot, as they collide against the backdrop of a murder investigation to settle old scores and make sense of their shattered childhood. Each of these books challenges and expands what speculative fiction, science fiction, and fantasy do. They are bold, brilliant, and unforgettable. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. The 2026 Los Angeles Times Book Prize in Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Speculative Fiction goes to Sylvia Park.
So, confession, I didn't prepare a speech as well. But actually, I think, especially with Nikki's beautiful introduction, the reason why I didn't prepare a speech was because I was just so humbled and awed by the works of my fellow finalists. And I want to really affirm the fact that speculative fiction, more than ever, feels like reality, because reality is breaking. And the way to describe reality, we're at a loss of words now. And that's why when I was thinking about, the fact that Nikki had set up this beautiful bookshop after Octavia Butler, honoring her work, it actually reminded me of the fact that last year, the common book for my university was Parable of the Sower. And I wondered, what would Octavia have thought that this book that is set in 2025 and the reflection of that book, the horrors, the loss of democracy and freedom, to see that enacted in that year, how would she have reacted to that? She probably would have shrugged. Because I think really, when we're writing about speculative fiction, we're actually writing about the present. We're writing about history. We're not writing about the future. We're reflecting what's already happening. So I wrote a book about artificial intelligence, and I was not expecting the fact that we would be living in a world that is being torn apart and rebuilt by artificial intelligence. And it seems like this obsession to create this vessel for intelligence and knowledge by these tech corporations that think that they can replace us, it makes no sense to me. Because what is a better vessel, a more perfect vessel for our intelligence and the beauty that we feel about life than the book. Thank you.
Yeah, take that, Sam Altman. Take that. Our next presenter is most recently the author of How to Write a Novel in 20 Pies, Sweet and Savory Secrets of Surviving the Writing Life. Best-selling author of a novel and a memoir, she teaches writing workshops in California and retreats in France, as well as beyond. Amy Wallens presenting the Art Seidenbaum Award for First Fiction.
Sorry. Good evening. I'm very excited to be presenting this award, the Art Seidenbaum Award for First Fiction, because writing a first novel is about putting your heart, your soul, and that idea that came to you in the bathtub all on the page without even knowing if you have a chance in this publishing world. It's about believing in the writing, yourself, and the story every step of the way. It's about hoping the universe will love this story as much as you do. And it's prizes like this First Fiction Award that let the author know all their hard work and hoping was not for naught. To present this prize is to witness dreams come true. The Art Seidenbaum Award for First Fiction finalists are Plum by Andy Anderegg. Plum is told in the second person, a perspective that provides a bold insight for the teen Jay, who lives with her alcoholic dad, complicit mom, and sometimes wonderful, sometimes gross older brother, on whom she pins all her hopes for escape. Plum adroitly provides a vulnerable view into the lies we tell to survive and the resilience to learn how to love. Idle Grounds, a novel by Christelle Bamford, is told by the voice of a group of cousins who lose the youngest when they wander into the woods. The deeper they go, the faster we turn the pages to unravel family history, to uncover secrets, to fall deeper into the clutches of this brilliantly funny and haunting tale. Dominion, a novel by Addie E. Kitchens, is told at once with the humor and poignancy of two Black Southern women who wrestle with the many brutal, sinister ways in which we are shaped by fear and patriarchy. Artfully, it brings in the voices of the two men who rock the community with shame and secrets. Ibis, a novel by Justin Haynes, is colorful in its landscape, its magic, and its many voices. Set mainly in the tiny island nation of Trinidad and Tobago, tiny in size, but giant in history and culture. From the chorus of local fishermen to Venezuelan immigrants to African slaves, all who tell the story of mothers and daughters, the migrant crisis, and how to find the truth with a capital T. Hunchback, a novel by Sao Ichikawa, is small in size but giant in what it covers. Feminism, sex, disability, and power. In the same vein, the narrator Shaka's physical world is small, a room in a care home outside Tokyo, reliant on an electric wheelchair and ventilator to breathe, but her mischievous mind has no boundaries. Told with unrepentant humor and a heart that doesn't miss a beat, Shaka insists on making big choices, no matter the consequences. And the 2025 Art Seidenbaum Prize for First Fiction goes to Justin Haynes for Ibis.
Good evening. I'm incredibly grateful for this award for several reasons. One is because I grew up on an island of 1.5 million people, but it had 3 daily newspapers and an evening newspaper as well. My mother was a librarian at one of those newspapers, and she never read books or novels, but she would read each daily newspaper from first page to last, every day. And when I asked her why she didn't read books or novels, she would say, "There's enough suffering in the real world." I grew up among women. My mother, 2 sisters, I was the middle child. And in that island, it's just 5 miles away from Venezuela, South America. They've been having a torrid time. A lot of their people have gone to Trinidad as refugees looking for a better life. The germ of this story was reading a newspaper article in which several women from Venezuela were kept in a house and used as sex slaves, including a mother and a couple of her daughters, women from the ages of 15 to 35. And when I read that, I saw my mother and sisters in that house. The thing that really made the story compelling was that the house was made to look like a police station. So when the Special Tactics Forces showed up, they were completely thrown. They were like, "Why are we at a police station?" I'm grateful that I can tell this story because Venezuelan people are suffering incredibly right now. And I am sort of grateful that I can give voice to their suffering and hopefully allow them some modicum of humanity. Venezuela was a brief blip recently in this dry as drum of a news cycle that we have, but they're still out there and they're still suffering, and I hope this book can help shine a light on some of their suffering. Thank you so much.
Now let's turn to the entries in fiction brought to us by the LA-based writer of several novels, including Zero Zone, Untouchable, and Half-World. He teaches creative writing at Cal State Channel Islands and at workshops all around LA. Please welcome Scott O'Connor and the finalists in fiction.
I think it's safe to say we live in an era of shock and surprise. We are shocked at people's actions and behaviors in the present and in revelations from the past. I haven't looked at my phone in an hour or so, but I'm sure that when I do, I'll see someone has done something and everyone is shocked and surprised. Fiction writers and readers may be shocked by what people do, but I don't think we're all that surprised. And that's because we spend so much time in the personal lives of characters, those twists and turns of the mind and heart. This year, these 5 writers, across a wide range of genres, pulled us deep into their characters' personal lives, allowing us to better understand those twists and turns. By showing us people as they might be, they show us people as they are. If you read enough great fiction, books like these, you see all the possibilities for why we do the things we do. There are always shocks. There are no surprises. Todd Goldberg, Only Way Out. A hilarious, emotionally rich tale of a heist gone wrong, then wrong again, then wrong some more. This is California noir, clouded not by cigarettes, but by vape smoke. A reminder that though times may change, greed and bad decision-making are eternal. Stephen Graham Jones, The Buffalo Hunter. historical fiction, a police procedural, a murder mystery, a western, a horror novel, a novel of revenge, of reckoning, a novel of unreliable confessions, all walk into a bar. One of our great genre omnivores, Stephen Graham Jones, like the very human monsters he conjures in this novel, finds truth wherever he sinks his teeth. Mia Mackenzie, These Heathens. Every so often, a novel arrives with a narrative voice that grabs you by the collar, takes you by the hand, and demands your attention. It turns out that demand is a gift, because now you get to follow Doris Steele into the most significant weekend of her young life. Challenging, funny, unpredictable, all words that describe this book, that voice, and the time you'll spend together. Andres Felipe Solano, Gloria. Who were our parents before we were born? They can seem unknowable. They had entire lives, loves, losses without us. In Gloria, Andres Felipe Solano's narrator attempts to reconstruct his mother's youth, an act of detective work and imagination, a vibrant discovery and loving recreation of her loves and losses in that previous life. Brian Washington, Palaver. A mother and son are reunited after years of estrangement. Their weeks together, by turns tumultuous and tender, come to us through a novel stripped down to the spare essentials of emotion and memory, the intricacies of their relationship rendered with pointillistic precision. And the 2025 Los Angeles Times Book Prize in Fiction goes to Brian Washington, Palaver. Brian was unable to join us tonight, but he recorded a video message to be read in the event he was the winner.
Hello, Brian Washington here. If you're seeing this, I've apparently won the Los Angeles Times Book Prize for Fiction. I'm very grateful to the jury this year. I'm very grateful to the Los Angeles Times Book Prize team for coordinating and putting all of this together. I'm very grateful to be in conversation with Todd, with Stephen, with Mia, with Andres. The value in, any award for me is the dialogue surrounding the books that have been nominated, and the hope that, readers will see these and they'll create pathways to other books and create further dialogues. And that, feels like a big boon for me at any moment, particularly in this moment. For Palaver specifically, I think it's important to note that it's a story about being a person among other people, being in a community among other communities, and the ways in which we touch one another both implicitly and explicitly in ways that we're aware of and ways that we're not aware of in the midst of genocides, in the midst of ongoing war. I think it's important to think through the ways that the narratives that we tell impart and inform the way that we see the world, the way that we see the people around us, the way that we see the environment around us, the way that we see the structures around us. And whilst Palaver was written as an attempt to sort of circle around this question of what it can mean to be a person who is living among other people, I've found answers to those questions for myself that I moved through from texts, from novels, from books. So it remains, just a big joy to see that there are people who are still actively working to do that, not only working to tell stories, but also working to bring stories to people, regardless of whether it's someone who works in publishing specifically, whether it's someone who works at a festival specifically, whether it's a reader, whether it's somebody who works at a library, whether it's an educator. So very grateful, I think, to exist in this larger ecosystem of people who care about stories that we tell about ourselves and others. And with that, just another, thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Next, let's welcome the author of Your House Will Pay, winner of the Los Angeles Times Book Prize and the California Book Award, and the Juniper Song Crime Trilogy, She is the current series editor of the Best American Mystery and Suspense Anthology. Please welcome Steph Cha and the finalists in Mystery Thriller.
We live, or so the story goes, in a society governed by law, with a principled foundation of morality and justice, where the powerless are protected and the powerful cannot act with impunity. Every contradiction to this story is a story of its own. By definition, a crime story. Sometimes I feel like I'm drowning in crime stories, and I find an odd solace in crime fiction, the realm of not true crime stories, which deliver truth without the pain and suffering inherent in actual crime. Mystery and thriller writers are some of my favorite people. They pay attention to how the world works, but they deliver their findings gently, with books that move and entertain us, even as they turn over the eternally difficult question of how humans can be so cruel to one another. This year's nominees are 5 of the best writers in the genre. They're all veterans, and they continue to write novels that are both satisfying and surprising, and that have plenty to tell us about the way we are. The finalists for the 2025 Los Angeles Times Book Prize in Mystery Thriller are El Dorado Drive by Megan Abbott, G.P. Putnam's Sons. In El Dorado Drive, Megan Abbott, always a keen investigator of the American condition, turns her attention to post-financial crisis era Detroit. There, 3 sisters join a female empowerment-driven, definitely not a pyramid scheme women's group, setting them on a desperate course that ends in tragedy. Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Ace Atkins, William Morrow. Ace Atkins' Everybody Wants to Rule the World is a high-stakes Cold War-era spy thriller told with style and humor and a colorful cast of characters. A washed-up pulp writer, a foul-mouthed Russian defector, a football player turned drag queen, and a teenage boy who thinks his mother's boyfriend is in the KGB. Crooks, a novel about crime and family by Lou Berney, William Morrow. In his wise, entertaining novel Crooks, Lou Berney introduces the unforgettable Mercurios who, according to family lore, have criminality in their DNA. The characters are both larger than life and firmly mired in life-sized circumstances, their schemes, aspirations, and ideals thwarted by their own flaws and the intrusions of other people. The Proving Ground, a Lincoln Lawyer novel by Michael Connelly, Little Brown and Company. The Proving Ground is the 8th book in Michael Connelly's iconic Lincoln Lawyer series, and 20 years after his first outing, Mickey Haller is as scrappy and lovable as ever. While we now find him in civil court, the greasy angel still operates in a perilous world, this time facing an AI juggernaut with deep pockets and blood on its hands. King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby, Flatiron Books, Pine and Cedar. Big, violent, and luxuriantly gothic, King of Ashes is quintessential S.A. Cosby. A successful financial advisor goes home to small-town Virginia, where he finds his family terrorized by sociopathic gangsters. You want action, drama, secrets? This book has it all, plus a useful crematory and an ominous family mantra: everything burns. And the Los Angeles Times Book Prize in Mystery Thriller goes to Megan Abbott for El Dorado Drive.
my gosh. I want to thank so much the LA Times for this and the esteemed judges, and especially my fellow nominees, who are four of the writers I admire most in the world, and also to my editor. These are very criminal times, and I guess I picked the right genre to live in this era for. Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much.
Our next presenter is the editorial director of De Los, the Los Angeles Times vertical that explores Latino culture and identity. He started at the Times in 2018 as an audience engagement editor focusing on sports. Yay, sports. Let's welcome Fidel. Sorry. Let's welcome Fidel Martinez to present the Current Interest Awards.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today, or tonight. The global refugee crisis, lexicography, the working homeless, corporate greed and corruption, and catastrophic wildfires. At first glance, the books in this category might not appear to have much in common. But while the respective subject matter might vary greatly, every nominated title is a work of exceptional investigative reporting. They uncover uncomfortable truths about the world we live in and give us a deeper understanding of how our society works, all while captivating the reader with compelling narrative prose. The finalists for the 2025 Los Angeles Times Book Prize in Current Interest are A Greek Tragedy by Jean Carstensen. In October 2015, a boat carrying hundreds of refugees capsized near the Greek island of Lesbos, resulting in the death of 40 people. Carstensen reconstructs the 24 hours surrounding this tragedy through the accounts of those involved, telling a larger, devastating story about the global migration crisis and its profound human cost. Unabridged by Stefan Fatsis. Fatsis takes the reader deep inside the hollowed halls of the Merriam-Webster headquarters in Springfield, Massachusetts, as a lexicographer in training to show how the proverbial sausage gets made. Unabridged explores the history of the American dictionary, highlights the people who decide which words get codified, and examines the threat that new technologies pose to the beloved reference book. There Is No Place for Us by Brian Goldstone. There Is No Place for Us follows 5 Atlanta families struggling to keep a roof over their heads in an increasingly gentrifying city despite being employed. They belong to a group often referred to as the invisible homeless. Goldstone provides a compassionate, clear-eyed account of a housing emergency that is hiding in plain sight. No More Tears by Gardner Harris, a blistering expose of one of the most recognizable corporations in the world. No More Tears outlines Johnson & Johnson's decades of deceitful and unethical business practices, from traces of asbestos in its baby powder to accelerating the opioid crisis. Harris shatters the company's family-friendly image while also condemning the federal regulators who failed to protect us. When It All Burns by Jordan Thomas. Jordan Thomas takes us to the front lines of wildfire fighting as a member of the Los Padres Hotshots, an elite fire crew with the U.S. Forest Service. When It All Burns is a first-person account of a world where climate change has made the fires bigger, faster, and more destructive. And the 2025 Los Angeles Times Book Prize in Current Interest goes to There Is No Place for Us, Working and Homeless in America by Brian Goldstone. Brian was unable to join us tonight. He penned this message to be read in the event that he was a winner. I am profoundly grateful for this tremendous honor, and I'm so sad that I was unable to be here with you in person to receive it. I want to thank the judges whose recognition means more than I can say, and I want to thank my incredible editor, Amanda Cook, without whom this book would not exist. Most of all, I want to thank my wife, Elaine, and our 2 boys, Emil and Elliot. To report this book, I spent nearly 6 years immersed in the day-to-day lives of 5 families in Atlanta. People working and working and working some more, often at multiple jobs, yet unable to afford a place to live. Trapped in what I came to think as a shadow realm of homelessness, these families were unhoused but statistically invisible. Their precarity was born not of a failing economy, but perversely a booming one. Casualties of their city's much celebrated renaissance, even as their labor was making all that growth possible. Before we can fix this crisis, we first have to feel this crisis. What still moves me, what I find nothing short of miraculous, is that these families allowed me into their lives with a trust and generosity, an intimacy and openness that I will never stop being grateful for. Our neighbors, millions of them, are just one medical emergency, one rent hike, one missed paycheck away from losing their homes. People are not falling into homelessness, they're being pushed. And so I ask, how have we allowed this to happen? How have we allowed a safe, stable place to live, one of the most basic human necessities, to become a luxury good auctioned off at the highest bidder? Because once we ask that question, once we recognize how utterly bizarre and unacceptable that is, we can begin to see housing for what it truly is, not as a privilege, not a commodity, but a fundamental human right. And we can begin to demand that it be treated as one. Thank you.
Next, I'm pleased to welcome a writer, editor, and producer who has worked as a staff writer for Los Angeles Times, as well as news events and projects supervisor at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Did you hear that part? NASA. She is currently a senior communications officer at the California Wellness Foundation. Please welcome Ja Rhee with the finalists in Science and Technology.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to be amongst fellow book lovers here. Okay, so I'm going to turn the page. Okay. All right. Okay, stories of science and technology are often stories of progress, how far we've come and how far we still have to go. These books can feel intimidating, asking us to wrestle with complex ideas and machinery. But the best of them break down these ideas, show us the people behind the work, and reveal both the brilliance and the blind spots. You'll find these qualities in this year's finalists for the 2025 Los Angeles Times Book Prizes in the Science and Technology category. They Poison the World, Life and Death in the Age of Forever Chemicals by Mariah Blake is a disturbing investigation into a class of widely used synthetic chemicals that were once a gateway to the good life. Blake illustrates their impact through residents of Hoosick Falls, New York, whose fight against the chemical companies reveals a vast cover-up and an uncontrolled experiment that has made guinea pigs of us all. The Story of CO2 is the story of everything, How Carbon Dioxide Made Our World by Peter Brannon, follows a single molecule across billions of years, showing how carbon dioxide has shaped Earth's geology, climate, life, and even financial systems. No mechanism is too small or too large to escape its influence or Brennan's deft and witty explanations. By the end, we see how carbon dioxide explains our past and will shape our future. Empire of AI, Dreams and Nightmares in Sam Altman's OpenAI by Karen Howe, gives us a deeply researched, sobering look behind the curtain at how one of the most exciting technologies of our time is being made. Through interviews, internal documents, and on-the-ground reporting, Howe shows how today's AI project echoes the empire building of old, with similar human drama, resource extraction, and damage in its wake. Strata, Stories from Deep Time by Laura Popick, is a lyrical journey through 4 pivotal moments in Earth's history, from the first accumulation of oxygen to the reign of the dinosaurs, as told by layers beneath our feet. We meet researchers who have devoted their careers to reading this book of time and follow them as they piece together its clues. Popick deepens our appreciation for the forces that shaped our home and our limits in fully comprehending it. When It All Burns, Fighting Fire in a Transformed World by Jordan Thomas, brings us to the front lines of battling megafires while thoughtfully exploring fire as a technology. Drawing on his anthropology background, Thomas shows us how indigenous fire practices once shaped ecosystems and how their suppression by European colonists set in motion the dangerous fires we see today. Fire humbles everyone in this book, but Thomas shows how respecting its power can begin to break the cycle. The 2025 Los Angeles Times Book Prize in Science and Technology goes to Empire of AI, Dreams and Nightmares in Sam Altman's OpenAI by Karen Howe. Karen was unable to join us tonight. She penned this message to be read in the event she was the winner. Hi, everyone. I'm so grateful that Empire of AI is being recognized by the LA Times Book Prizes today. I also can't help but be disturbed by how the themes of this book have grown more relevant by the day. I couldn't have imagined when I chose the metaphor of empire to describe companies like OpenAI that the metaphor would turn literal as the empires of AI and the United States empire abet each other in a violent expansionist agenda to dominate the world. That said, I have never been more hopeful of our chance to advance a different future. It feels especially appropriate to be celebrating the written word in LA, a bastion of the arts and of human expression, from which some of the most vibrant and defiant movements against the empires have sprung. The Hollywood writers' strike, the visual artists who are suing AI companies for training on their work without consent, the directors and actors joining together to denounce the devaluing of creative labor and to uplift human stories. So it is with profound gratitude that I'm receiving this award tonight. Gatherings like this are one of many radical acts of resistance against the imperial project that seeks to strip us of our meaning and our humanity. Let us continue to resist defiantly together. And let us remember a lesson from history. When people rise, empires always fall.
I have to tell you, I too am very concerned about AI, though I do use it to help me cook. I stopped drinking recently, and it's coming up with some really creative mocktails. It's really kind of Claude, not so much as OpenAI. Claude's very brilliant with that. I'm pleased to introduce an award-winning narrator of dozens of audiobooks and a writer, playwright, and performer. His film work includes the recently completed independent feature film, Henry Johnson, and he recently finished filming a role with David Mamet in the film version of Speed the Plow. Here's Dominic Hoffman with the finalists for Achievement in Audiobooks presented by Audible.
It's cold in here. You can hang meat. Okay. In these absolutely insane times, it's a bit surreal and lovely that we can actually just celebrate the written word. So I just want to acknowledge that. I'm surrounded by books, shelved, stacked, covering my desk. I like to look at the spines and the covers because they're sort of like landmarks, I was finishing this one when I was on a bus to the south of France. Or I read this one when the towers came down in New York. I read this one when I was completely in love. Books, close friends, good teachers. It's travel without a passport. It's living the lives of others without paying the price. Narrating these things is a little bit tricky. It's deeply personal, it's labor intensive, and it's kind of scary because it's the narrator's responsibility to interpret or reimagine the highly personal work of a stranger. To somehow put in to the voice the context, the dreams, nightmares, the meaning of someone we've never met. This person is the author. But that is the job description. When this conflation of two strangers' imaginations work, when it's fluid, it's kind of an unexpected alchemy that occurs. And the listener gets to have a bit of magic. The following nominees have performed this bit of magic. Molly Jong Fast and Maddie Argyropoulos for How to Lose Your Mother. J.D. Jackson, Diane McKiernan, and a full cast for People Like Us, a novel. James Aaron O. and Linda Korn for The Emperor of Gladness, a novel. Maggie Meg Reed, oh, wrong one, sorry. My bad. I'm anxious. Imani Perry and Suzanne Mitchell for Black in Blues. Maggie Meg Reed and Kelly Gilday, and a full cast for The Correspondent, a novel. Now let's hear them for ourselves.
I had spent my entire life trying to get away from the loneliness of being abandoned by my parents. I assumed this would somehow preclude me from mourning their deaths. Like with almost everything in my life, I was deeply wrong. You can't pre-grieve your parents much as you might want to or need to.
There should be a word for the ability to stop crying about a past pain even though it's still in you. There should be a word for living. Yes, that's it. There should be a word for continuing to live when a part of you has died. There should be a word that sums that up. And the longer you live, the more that word should become a part of you. Because the thing of it is, every day that the person is missed feels longer, and there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do to share the long, beautiful days that they are not a part of.
How strange to feel something so close to mercy, whatever that was. And stranger still that it should be found in here of all places, at the end of a road of ruined houses by a toxic river. That among a pile of salvage trash, he would come closest to all he ever wanted to be. A consciousness sitting under a light bulb reading his days away, warm and alone and yet, somehow, still somebody's son.
Oral storytelling is improvisational. Like poetry, it explodes the difference between nonfiction and fiction. Imagination, details, and knowledge are all flexible tools in service of the lesson. People, especially elders, repeat stories over and over again with purpose. In the arrogance of youth, we often think they do it because they are absent-minded. Now I know they repeat themselves because they've whittled life down into observations that should not be forgotten. They are authoring scriptures of their own.
I write slowly. A letter might take me an hour or more. I do not rush. I think through each sentence. My hand does not get tired. You mustn't rush. When you rush, you pen things you didn't mean, and you tire. It takes patience to say exactly what one means, to think of the right word. Sometimes I write a draft and mark it up, then write a clean copy to send. I believe one ought to be precious with communication. Remember, words, especially those written, are immortal.
And the winner of the prize in audio achievement presented by Audible is Maggie Meg Reed, Kelly Gilday, and the full cast for The Correspondent.
I'm terrified at public speaking, so forgive me, I made some notes. First of all, I can say this without having to read it. It's a thrill to be here, and immense thanks to the LA Times and your judges for honoring The Correspondent. And profound thanks to Penguin Random House and to Kelly Gilday for giving me the gift of Sybil. Huge kudos as well to the other nominated audio works here. All wonderful, all deserving of your time and your ear. And also a quick shout out to Roger Becker, and much love to my children, Wiley and Proof, and to my husband, Michael, who is here with me tonight and always. I think The Correspondent makes an ideal audiobook. It's told exclusively through letters, which means each character is giving us their most considered version of themselves by sitting down and taking the time to think through and write something to someone else. And this gives us the chance in this book to know this aging but bright and sassy and challenging and rather flawed but rather wonderful woman, Sybil, and all the people important to her so clearly and so richly, because Virginia Evans, the author, has written them into such exquisite existence. In a different book, Adam Johnson's The Wayfinder, a character is thinking of someone he misses, and he says this: perhaps all that people leave behind is their voice inside your head. Well, isn't that exactly the beauty of an audiobook? And I am so proud to be the voice of Sybil that might linger a while in a listener's head. And on behalf of all the people who worked so hard on, and especially all of the narrators who appear in The Correspondent along with me, I thank you. And now I will hand it over to the wonderful and gifted producer-director Kelly Gilday, who will take us home.
I can't really top what Maggie Meg just said, but I do want to say what an honor it was to work on this book, which I loved from the very first moment I started reading it. And this cast of 15 people, I just want to say all their names: Maggie Meg Reed, Jane Oppenheimer, Carly Robbins, Jeff Ebner, David Patu, Chris Shula, Mark Bramhall, Patria Burchard, Robert Petkoff, Kimberly Farr, Jim Siebert, Karis Morgan Moyer, Jade Wheeler, Peter Ganem, and Steve West. Thank you all so much for your incredibly beautiful work and for loving this book as much as I did. Thank you, and thank you all.
I have the honor of presenting tonight's Innovators Award, which spotlights efforts that push books, publishing, and storytelling into the future. And tonight it goes to an organization that is doing something by answering one simple question. Is there anyone else out there like me? We Need Diverse Books is a nonprofit organization that offers memberships, grants, workshops, and professional development programs that support writers, illustrators, and publishing professionals from marginalized communities. Through programs like Lit Up Fellowship and the Native Writing Intensive, We Need Diverse Books gives emerging creators the tools and the community they need to get their stories told and their books on the shelves. So when a young person goes to a library or pick up their tablet and wonder, is there anyone else out there like me? There's an answer for them, and it's yes. We are honored to present the We Need Diverse Books with the 2025 Innovators Award, and here's a short video that shows some of their incredible accomplishments.
In 2014, We Need Diverse Books was born from a Twitter hashtag in response to a blockbuster literary panel that consisted of 4 white men. This simple message, hashtag We Need Diverse Books, brought together writers, illustrators, publishers, educators, and readers from all around the globe who saw the need for better representation on bookshelves. Now a nonprofit organization, We Need Diverse Books provides grants and mentorship programs to aspiring writers to enable them to hone their crafts and pursue book deals. In total, We Need Diverse Books mentees have published over 70 books and have become New York Times best-selling authors, Newbery Award Medal winners, and have even had projects optioned for streaming services. Since 2015, We Need Diverse Books has given more than 100 grants to interns, totaling nearly $300,000, and over 75% of these grantees have found permanent positions in publishing, with many becoming acquiring editors. And the final piece, arguably the most important, the children searching to find themselves in the pages of a story, to disappear into worlds different from their own. We Need Diverse Books has donated over 100,000 books to classrooms, and when COVID hit in 2020, the organization offered to ship boxes directly to homes during virtual learning. Likewise, during the recent increase in book bans over the past several years, We Need Diverse Books hasn't backed down. They've worked even harder to get books into schools facing the harshest banning policies by working with grassroots organizations in battleground states, producing educational materials for their on-the-ground campaigns, and supporting authors affected by the bans. In a time where diversity and literacy are under attack, We Need Diverse Books is proof that the power of books and those who love them is stronger than any force that tries to destroy them. We are proud to present We Need Diverse Books with our Innovators Award.
Please, please, please join me in welcoming the Executive Director of We Need Diverse Books, Caroline Richmond, as we present her and the organization with the Innovators Award.
Wow, what an honor it is to be here tonight. On behalf of We Need Diverse Books, our board, and our staff, I'd love to extend my deepest gratitude to the LA Times Book Prizes and the judging committee for selecting us for this amazing award. Thank you for this recognition. And as I was thinking about what to say here tonight, I thought I'd share what We Need Diverse Books has meant to me, but not as an employee, as a parent and a reader. And to do that, we have to go back in time, back to the 80s and 90s when I was growing up. And as a kid, I simply devoured books. Matilda, Number the Stars, the Fear Street series by R.L. Stine. I was this very hungry bookworm, but I never really saw myself in the books I read. The heroes of those stories were usually brave, blue-eyed boys or sassy blonde girls. They didn't really look like me, but I was just happy to observe. Now let's fast forward to my freshman year of high school, and my English teacher, shout out Mrs. Wilkerson, assigned a book for my class to read, The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. And this novel totally upended my mindset of what a book could be. And I'm trying really hard not to fangirl right now, but from those first pages, I saw my mom and myself reflected on the page. And I could hear my grandmother's voices, my popo and my nai-nai who helped raise me, echoed in the dialogue. I was no longer an outsider looking in. I was the hero of a story. So let's do another time jump, this time to April 2014, when I was a very new mom. And one morning, when my newborn daughter was lying on her playmat, I was scrolling through Twitter, and I came across this interesting hashtag, We Need Diverse Books. People from all over the world were using it to share why we need more representation in our stories. And I decided to add my own tweet, sharing how I didn't want my daughter to have to wait until she was in high school to find her own Joy Luck Club. And not long after that, We Need Diverse Books became an official nonprofit that was striving to change what we read across America. And we recognize that if we want more diverse titles on our shelves, then we have to enact change across the entire reading pipeline. That includes supporting the writers writing inclusive stories, to diversifying the publishing industry itself, to providing the finished books to the readers who need them. So let's do one last time jump to where we are today. And my daughter is now 12 years old. And because of the work we do at We Need Diverse Books, along with the help we get from our partners, our donors, our supporters, I'm really proud to report that my girl has never really had to look that far to find herself on the page. And even more than that, we've been able to explore so many books together that reflect the diversity of our world, from queer stories to Muslim stories to Native stories and many, many more. And as a parent, I'm so grateful that literature has come so far in just one generation. And I wish I could end the story here. I wish I could raise up my hands and say, we did it. But of course, life doesn't work like that. As many of you know, book bans have risen very sharply since 2021, and they disproportionately target diverse voices. Many of the authors that we have supported over the years are now publishing books that are getting banned left and right. There's even a bill making its way through Congress, HR 7661, that could compel a national book ban if passed. So the work is very much far from over. But I have to remind myself that the people banning books are never the good guys in history, and it's up to us. So it's up to us in this room and beyond, as readers, as book lovers, to fight back, because we're always going to need diverse books, and we really need them now more than ever. So thank you so much for this incredible award.
I love that organization. I used to read Encyclopedia Brown, and no one was ever Brown in the books. So thank you. Well, that's it. Thank you all so much for joining us here tonight and celebrating these amazing writers. Let's give them one more round of applause, shall we? For me, it truly is a privilege to be able to celebrate this 46-year-old program and that devotes so much time and care to recognizing and elevating the important work of diverse and array of writers. Those of you who subscribe to the Los Angeles Times, you really help make events like this possible, and we truly do thank you. The festival, the book festival, the awards, none of that would be possible without you. So to the subscribers and the readers of the Los Angeles Times, we truly do thank you. I'd also like to thank this evening's sponsors, associate sponsors Universal Studio Group for their generous support of the book prizes and Author Green Room. The cookies are amazing back there. Absolutely amazing. It's really the only reason why I want to come back every year. No, that's not true. And our two prize presenters, Audible and the Christopher Isherwood Foundation, for their support of the Book Prizes program and for making the Audiobook and Autobiographical Prose Awards possible. Finally, please join me in thanking our presenting sponsor and host this evening and for the entire weekend, the University of Southern California. Fight on. This wonderful university provides us with a home for the festival and for this award show. All of these organizations have many different options when they choose who to support and what events to support, so we truly do thank you when you decide to join the Los Angeles Times in recognizing the importance of the written word and its power to bind communities here in Los Angeles as well as around the world. As always, the close of this ceremony also marks the opening of the LA Times Festival of Books. This year's marks our 31st. Starting to get some gray hair in the little festival. I hope you join us over the next 2 days to hear from hundreds of authors, meet the city's amazing booksellers, and many, many exhibitors from our community. So once again, thank you and have an amazing night. Thank you.
Thanks for watching the 46th Annual Los Angeles Times Book Prizes. Our Festival of Books coverage will start tomorrow morning live at 10 a.m. from the USC campus. See you then.